In this episode of Embark, the evolution of innovation, a journey back through Norwegian Cruise Line's revolutionary history.
A visionary is someone who can see things before anybody else does, and he did.
He had a general vision about bringing people together.
A true pioneer.
The idea is, let's build a floating resort. Everything that you can have on land, we can have at sea.
There was really an untapped demand for people to take these wonderful, all-inclusive type vacations to tropical destinations.
Destinations that created a boom in global travel, generating a wave of innovation across the entire cruise industry.
Private islands are a huge innovation, and Great Stirrup Cay leading the way was a big deal in the cruise industry.
Freestyle cruising really was one of the most significant innovations that NCL has as a brand.
And a legacy of loyalty unmatched in the cruise industry.
I've taken about 12 cruises with Norwegian Cruise Line. It's kind of like your first love.
I've been working for the line for 52 years. It doesn't get any better. Norwegian has been my life.
Welcome everyone, I'm Simon Akinwalere, Cruise Director for Norwegian Cruise Line. Since our inception, our mission has always been to look for ways to push boundaries. The number of groundbreaking ideas that began with NCL is staggering. The first to offer a premium experience on board with the Haven concept. The first to offer a private island experience. The first to premiere Broadway entertainment on its ships. And the first to build a state-of-the-art terminal right here in Miami, the cruise capital of the world. In our first episode of this series, we're going to look back at our rich history with an intimate portrait of NCL's founder. We'll meet some of my incredible colleagues who have been with the company for 3, 4, and even 5 decades, and we'll explore the unprecedented innovations that made us what we are today. Let's start with a true visionary.
One of the things I absolutely love about cruising is that you can hop on board a ship, you unpack once, and the ship takes you all over the world.
It's how I got to do all 7 continents. What an amazing experience.
Their dining, their food, their shows, they're always looking to take care of everyone.
That all of these things coexist and coalesce in one space. How is that? You know, magic. That's how.
So, how did life get so good? Well, there was this guy named Knut Cluster.
By definition, a visionary is someone who can see things before anybody else does, and he did.
Born in Oslo, Norway, Cluster became the head of his family's shipping company at a very young age.
The name of our first ship was Sjøgutten, which translated means the sea boy. And that little ship went between England and Norway with ice from Norway to England and coal back to Norway.
But hauling ice and coal was far from exciting. Knut wanted exciting, and he had ideas, big ideas. So he added a passenger ship to his fleet, which was to sail between the United Kingdom and Gibraltar.
The Sunward was the one that really sets the pace.
With accommodations for 558 passengers, the Sunward was designed as a long-haul ferry service with a new level of luxury.
He had a general vision about bringing people together. I think that was the backbone of all his decisions.
First and foremost, our founder, Knut Cluster, believed in providing a wonderful experience for our guests, and we continue to look at innovation through that lens.
But after a promising start, Spain and England got into a territorial spat, closing the border to tourism. But soon, a shipping agent invited Cluster to bring the Sunward to Miami.
Norwegian Cruise Line really has been a pioneer, a catalyst here at Port Miami since the early days with the arrival of the Sunward.
And I can remember coming into the Florida shores and the green water and seeing the coastline. It was like being on a big adventure. We were a big family with 4 children and 2 very happy parents and who were all dedicated to my father's work.
A lot of the ships, they were more like a transportation for passengers or visitors, looking to really build on that and change the old concept of cruise ship to become more like a hotel or a resort.
So the idea is, let's build a floating resort. Everything that you can have on land, we can have it at sea.
On December 19th, 1966, the Sunward sailed on her maiden voyage from Port Miami to the Caribbean.
We saw the practicality of being so close to so many different countries in the Caribbean, and the sun and sea aspect of vacationing and cruising. The sea and beaches and the sun and the sand, they all come together.
The Sunward was a triumph, carrying nearly 40,000 passengers in her first year. And Norwegian Caribbean Lines was formed.
It was such a success. There was really an untapped demand there that no one really realized was out there for people to take these wonderful, all-inclusive type vacations to tropical destinations.
With his gift of innovation, Cluster wanted to add more ships. So, more ships there were.
He built the Starwood, which was the second ship for the fleet, and after the Starwood, he built the Skyward.
And with the addition of the Southward in 1971, the first fleet of the Caribbean was born.
It started small, one ship, then two ships, then three ships, originally just going to the Bahamas and later extending to Jamaica and other Caribbean islands.
And Knut's knack for innovation had only just begun. In 1979, Cluster bought a ship called the France for $18 million. The longest ocean liner ever built for that time.
It was unprecedented in size. The thing was simply huge for its time.
As a maritime person, he always had a very soft spot for the big ocean liners that were made idle because of the transatlantic airlines. He really wanted to bring that back to life.
At 60,000 tons and a capacity for 2,000 passengers, Cluster envisioned space for more entertainment and more activities to attract even more passengers. He brought in his friend, naval architect Torger Vandborg, to help bring his vision to life.
There's no question that from a design point of view, I think it's a magnificent creation. It's really, I think, the finest ship that was ever built. And I think that what Torger Vandborg has accomplished here is absolutely fantastic, because he has taken the original beauty of the ship and the design, and he has just built on it and added to it. He hasn't taken away anything, but he's made the ship even more beautiful than it was before. There's no question about that.
In 1980, after a $65 million transformation, the France was christened the SS Norway.
We were the first ship who had the United Nations flag flying, because we were as a happy family with 75 different nationalities who were working together in happiness and peace and harmony.
She was one of a kind. The Norway was marketed as the ship to be on.
The company did some really neat things when he was there. He said, well, then let's just build it. Let's put it there. He was a very soft-spoken person and really very, very nice. I mean, everybody loved him.
He was really happy among the crew members. He really was. And it was really important to him to hear what people had to say, how he could improve things, how their life was on board the ship. And he took a real interest in that.
In some of his vision, he looked to the staff for their ideas. He would go to them, talk to them, get feedback from them, in order to at least get some ideas as to what the future of the cruise line would be, and especially for the benefit of the passengers.
I think he was very happy with what he accomplished, and I think he was proud of having given the tourism industry a new way, if you like, with the concept that he was able to introduce at that time.
He saw that the industry was more than little boats floating around going nowhere fast, and we're all very thankful to him for his vision and his ideas.
Joining us right now from Oslo, Norway is Knut Kloster's daughter, Kristen. Thank you for being here today, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure. Let's start by talking about what it was like growing up on board our cruise ships. It must have been incredible. Do you remember the first time cruising the Atlantic with your father?
It was an amazing experience. I was with my whole family. I was the youngest of 4 kids, and we were on a great adventure at sea. It was wonderful.
Growing up, did you and your family appreciate what a visionary your father was?
Probably not at the time, but looking at it in retrospect, I can understand how it turned out the way it did, because my father was always very inquisitive. He would ask questions. He would always look for new opportunities and new answers to different issues. So it was always very challenging, but in a very good way, to grow up in my family with him.
I love hearing that. What I've learned over the years is that curious people are inquisitive, more often than not end up being very successful. In the video, you spoke about your father's loyalty to the crew. Why was that so important to him?
That was important to him because that's who he was. He was always very interested in the people around him. And also for being a person of the sea, he would always be very interested in how the people who actually carried out the work at sea, how they were, how their conditions were, and actually the whole product was depending on their happiness.
I think it's so important to value the people that you work with. Thank you so much for sharing your cherished memories of a true pioneer who made all of this possible.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Now, to get a first-hand account of NCL's past, we're going straight to some of our long-time team members who understand loyalty and have been with us for 30, 40, even 50 years. We also sat down with some of our most loyal passengers, Latitude members, who have cruised with Norwegian regularly. In fact, you're about to meet one couple who have cruised with us over 120 times. Yes, that's 120 NCL cruises. Let's meet some of Norwegian Cruise Line's most valued ambassadors.
I see myself as a lifelong ambassador.
To understand the past of Norwegian Cruise Line, there is no one who has seen the spirit of innovation come alive more than Brian Walters.
I've been working now for the line for 51, going 52 years. Norwegian is in my blood. I started in the position of busboy, sailing the Starwood up to Miami. Currently, I assigned to the Norwegian Sun.
Another long-timer, Klaus Lugmeyer, has spent over 3 decades with the cruise line.
My dream always was to come to the United States of America and to travel the world, and working on a cruise ship was one of my dreams come true.
And Mary Sue Jakowski has also been with Norwegian for almost 3 decades.
It's really a feeling of a family with our company, and it's why people stay a long time. And the nice thing about what we do is there's always something new coming on the horizon.
I sign every year anniversary cards for people, and I'm always amazed at how many of our crew members are 30-year members and 40-year members, and I know that we even have some 50-year.
I became with 26 one of the youngest hotel directors and was able to be part of the team to open many of our wonderful ships.
There are things that are introduced to the ship today that we didn't think that they were possible 20, 30 years ago. The ships that we're building now, they've become the destination itself.
I have been close to 120 different countries, sailed around the world. That's one of the great perks of working on a cruise ship and working for Norwegian. You become a citizen of the world.
I've been on all of our ships since the Norway. Who else wouldn't love to have this job? It's fun.
It's a very simple concept. Happy crew, happy ship, happy guests. We love working with each other and making dreams come true for our guests and making them happy and ensure they return for more.
I've taken about 12 cruises with Norwegian Cruise Line. It's kind of like your first love. You know, it's one of those weird things. You get comfortable and it's your first experience and it was great. So for you, it's just, you go other places, but then you're comparing it to your first love. You're like, doesn't wear the same cologne. No, not the same. Not the same.
We've cruised on all ships except for maybe 4. Jewel, the Gem, the Bliss, the
Pearl.
Christos and Roberta Joannides are more than just return guests. They've taken 126 cruises with NCL.
Why would we be disappointed by going on another cruise line when we know we're going to be happy on NCL?
That's really been part of the DNA for this company for all 53 years, putting our guests first. Every decision that we make just looks through the lens of how we can make the experience from when they first pick up the phone call to speak to us or visit our website to when they're on the ship and when they return home as absolutely magnificent as possible.
We love to dance.
Yes.
And on a cruise ship, you can go to 4 or 5 different venues every single night.
You can dine to your heart's content every night at a different restaurant and feel like you've traveled just by way of food, depending on how I feel that morning. If I was at the club real late last night, get up about 10, have my omelets and a cup of tea, and then make my way through my day. But that could be scheduling a massage, or I can go off ship and go into port and do as much or as little as I want.
You can embark on a ship and you don't have to leave to really have a full weeks of entertainment without going down the gangway.
A perfect moment for me is just as the sun sets and you're just this little microcosm in the vastness of the universe, right? And you just take that in and appreciate the fact that you're able to experience this.
Being out there with my guests and the crew is very rewarding. It doesn't get any better.
I want our team members to be happy and continue to deliver that hospitality from their heart and stay with us for many, many years, just like I do. And hopefully I can continue and stay another 33 years.
Norwegian has been my life.
These are truly amazing stories of brand loyalty. I can't even begin to describe the feeling of pride I have when I hear our guests and our crew speak about NCL with such gratitude. I hope that I can continue in the footsteps of colleagues like Brian Walters, Mary Sue Jakowski, and Klaus Lugmeyer. They truly set the bar for myself and all my fellow team members across the globe. Now, let's get back to talking about that pioneering spirit that we as a brand strive to incorporate into everything we do, always looking to lead the charge in improving the guest's experience. As I mentioned earlier, Norwegian has reached many milestones throughout our history. Our team works tirelessly to explore what's next, but instead of me telling you about our milestones in innovation, why don't we take a look for ourselves?
Cruise lines, to stay ahead of the game, really need to focus on innovation. They can't stand on their laurels and just, think that they did a great job and they can just kind of coast.
There has to be a combination of innovation and then this culture of flawless execution that we think we have better than anybody else. And that's why guests keep coming back to our vessels, and that's most gratifying to see guests and families come back time and time again.
One of the great things that Norwegian does is they really have invested in making sure all of their ships are updated and offer the latest and greatest.
Now with 17 ships and more than 300 destinations worldwide, Norwegian Cruise Line continues to revolutionize the ultimate vacation at sea.
You gotta win. You gotta win. My inspiration is always to be ahead of the pack without copying anyone.
NCL pioneer Knut Cluster set that standard when he bought the industry's first private island in 1977.
Nobody ever thought of doing that. And there was a crane on the ship, and it would take the tenders off, put them in the water. They were the kind of tenders where we could just pull right up on the sand.
I've seen photographs where the first few years we actually had a beach landing, and now of course it's a luxury experience.
Private islands are a huge innovation, and Great Stirrup Cay leading the way was a big deal in the cruise industry. It essentially gave passengers a very private experience. you get your own beach that you're only sharing with people from your ship.
You can jet ski, you can zip line. It's all right there, but for me, it's usually a low profile, kind of take it easy kind of day and just breathe.
It is heaven. You know, you can go to the islands and be pampered all day, and it is just a wonderful experience.
Another NCL first, freestyle cruising.
So I was really excited when Norwegian Cruise Line invited me to come along and experience their new freestyle cruising.
Traditionally, cruise ship dining was pretty much the same from ship to ship. It meant that you would sit at the same table every night at the same time. You probably had the same people at your table, and you had the same waiters.
Freestyle cruising really was one of the most significant innovations that NCL has as a brand.
Tell me a little bit about freestyle cruising aboard Norwegian Sky.
The Norwegian Sky was the first cruise ship in North America implementing freestyle cruising. We have revolutionized the cruise industry.
It took us a couple of years to perfect it, and as we started developing new ships afterwards, that really allowed us to expand on this concept even further, culminated in the Breakaway and Breakaway class ship, where on some of these vessels we have 20, 25 different dining options for dinner, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
The same concept as it is with the restaurant, you have freedom of choice and entertainment.
I think it's a real differentiator for Norwegian to offer a full-scale Broadway production.
Roberta loves the Jersey Boys.
I hope you didn't mention it.
Nobody wants exactly the same cruise. We all want something that's a little bit different and a little bit customized.
When you're traveling by yourself, it doesn't feel like you're alone. Not on NCL anyway. I always make new friends.
From catering to the solo traveler, to creating the first kids program at sea, Norwegian has always been on the cutting edge.
Norwegian offers racetracks and laser tag, and these are great activities that parents and kids can do together. They're things I never knew I wanted to do until I was doing them on a cruise ship.
One of the other innovations that we're very proud of is our Haven, which is our ship within a ship concept.
I think the Haven did a couple of things to really change the cruise experience. One, it gave people a far more private, personal cruise experience by offering them really a section of the ship that is their own private time, their own private pool, you know, great rooms, their own restaurant. It's a very luxurious, sweet experience.
You combine that resort enclave experience with all the amenities that the rest of the ship offers, and it's really an unprecedented experience in the industry.
So much to see and do, from the dining options and the private island to the exclusive Haven experience. And to think that you can be on board one of our amazing ships and experience Broadway entertainment. So what are you waiting for? Come and join us at sea.
On the next episode of Embark with NCL, the evolution of innovation.
We're going to take a show to NCL before Broadway. That's a game changer.
It's always about keeping innovation forward.
Thanks for watching. For NCL, I'm Simon Akinwolere, and we'll see you next time.